Hi, I have a quick announcement before we dive into today's episode. I've opened a few new spots for my 90-day program called the Inner Oasis, designed to help high-achieving women who are stuck in chronic stress and burnout to retrain their nervous system so that calm, sleep, and balance become their default, not a temporary break. I will be using a unique blend of sound healing, energy healing, and journaling. So if this is something you want support with, you can book a call at www.inneroasis.org or use the link in the description to get your personal 90-day recovery plan for free. Now, let's get into today's episode with my next guest. Hi, Alison. How are you today?
I'm happy to be here with you, Veronique. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming to Align and Thriving. I'm really happy to talk to you. We have a lot in common, like I was telling you earlier. And so you stand for at the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science. What does that integration really look like in practice for you?
It is a different application, and it tends to lead me to be doing more profound, deeper work. It's really fascinating to me how frequently I hear people who come to work with me at the deeper levels and my higher level programs that they have worked on an issue for years, and like, I thought I released this before. And they're sitting there with tears of release from the clearings and activations and light and energy medicine I've just applied to them. So what I'm saying is, like, with my background in psychology and my in-depth exploration of the sciences behind, because after living in Asia for a decade and exploring the subtle energies, I came away with the understanding that it's a science. And when I say subtle energies, I link them to my background in Western psych, but then to all of what's emerged from meditating. The Dalai Lama had these every other year summits with Western scientists, and he created texts. When I was teaching at an international school system in Taiwan, they asked me to do an elective. And so I created this course called Global Psychology that was using the Intro to Psychology 101 textbook used in colleges and universities in the States, and then some of the Dalai Lama's texts that he created out of these summits. So I understand energy medicine quite differently, and I want to say more importantly, apply it differently so that I'm able to get to a depth that people typically haven't experienced before. And it's a lot of the times beyond what you think is your limiting block, for example. So there's a science in the correlation between consciousness, which I have as I just mentioned, some of it in-depth understanding as a meditator myself for decades and teaching meditation alone. And then my yoga teacher certification in India, the combination then with the subtle energy system and the science that system is, it's an interplay that I'm also, Veronique and listeners, all the way through, my intuition is guiding my understanding as I have been guided to these different intersections to then further my understanding, so then I can present it in a way that is understandable to a Western mind. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, because what I was thinking, what do you think people misunderstand the most about subtle energy? Because you
I
talk
love
about
that
subtle
question.
energy.
God bless you.
Because I know a lot of people are waking up right now, but a lot of people don't really know what's going on. Oh, can you help us?
I totally agree with you. I feel like there is a spiritual industry now that wasn't here about 15 years ago. So much of it is online. So much more came online during and after COVID. And there is a reason why so many more people are awakening right now. So when I first got back from my decade living in Asia and teaching at an international school system and exploring all of this, still running energy medicine sessions on the side, and I moved over there in the first place because I was already running energy medicine sessions, getting great results with my clients. And I remember one day looking up at the ceiling and saying, "Oh my God, how can I get even more robust results?" And then I was teaching in the public school system locally in the States, and I had a master's degree and I wasn't making money easily and I felt caged and I just saw my society, perceive my society and people around me expecting me to be okay for decades to come. And I was like, no, I know life has more adventure. I'd already lived around in different places in the world and traveled on my own as an adult, and it just wasn't acceptable. So these two things came together, and I learned about the international school system and went into it. Okay. So I was there for 10 years exploring stuff. I came back to the States, dropped the teaching career and administration career, and took the energy medicine and coaching business full time, side gig full time. So about a year after being in the United States again and had the worst culture shock than anywhere I went over in Asia, returning to my home culture after that decade. I was asked by, as if out of the blue, by Voice America to do a radio show, weekly radio show, hosting it around the topic of the Mayan galactic alignment, December 21st, 2012. So this is in about the end of 2010, maybe the beginning of 2011. They asked me, and I hadn't been doing anything public facing with my business that was on my website with the Mayan ruins. Now, behind the scenes, I had been taking VIP clients on private retreats because I live on the west coast of Florida, and it's just a hop, skip, and a jump across the Gulf of Mexico to the Yucatan. Chichen Itza is, and a lot of the main Mayan ruins are. So I had already been going there quite a few times.
I'm sorry, is it like a portal over there, or is it like there's a lot of energy? Because I just came back from Egypt, and it was
Me
crazy.
too.
What you too? I was there
I was there in October.
Me too.
When in October? Were you there for the
Yes,
museum opening?
I did. Yeah, we had time to see it very quickly. Yeah, we did one afternoon. It was
We
beautiful.
left the morning of the opening, so all of
Oh,
the highways were closed. It was really interesting getting out to the airport. Yeah, but yeah, the hotel filled up the night before we left.
oh
I didn't
yeah,
make
yeah. No, we did like a ceremony. I'm a sound healer, so we did like a sound bath in the pyramid. The whole thing, and
in what up in upstairs, up in the at the
in the
top.
king chamber. Yeah, yeah, in
They
the
let
king
you
chamber.
do that?
If you know people.
How much did you have to pay? We like paying off everybody.
Well, my mentor, she knows a lot. She goes there every year, and she does that every year. So she knows somebody, like the guide who was with us. He's like paying everybody off.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
what our guides were doing too.
exactly. I think he had like just money just for that in his pocket, just to do that.
Yes,
To be
totally.
honest,
Like not
yeah,
even in the pocket. One of the guides, like he just kept it in his hand and just kept
yeah, paying off everybody for them not to leave us alone in the temples,
even
to
on the
pray or
road.
whatever. And yeah, so we did a ceremony like at 11:11 on the 11th. A samba there, and it was crazy. I went into the tombs,
Yep.
and we did a ceremony that it was like out of this world, out of this world. I don't even know how I came back. So that's what you've been talking about the ruins in Mexico, right?
Yeah, so there's
I
so
need to
the
go
Yucatan.
there.
You do. It's profound. I'll talk about it in a second. But just to give you the background, the Yucatan is like the top part of Mexico that
Mhm.
like sticks out. It's not the main part of the country that then borders with Guatemala and Belize.
Mhm.
So the Yucatan jungle, Cancun's the top of where all the spring breakers go and go nuts.
Yeah.
But if you fly into Cancun, Chichen Itza, which is one of the main pyramids. So I just came back during Christmas time. I was on a cruise that went to Belize, and I went to some Mayan ruins there too. They're quite different than what's in Mexico, and a lot of them still are covered by jungle. They're not even excavated yet. Um, so the ones in the Yucatan, like Chichen Itza, is excavated, and so I had been going there, like I said, and the observatory in Chichen Itza is where they made the main calendar um, of the Mayans did. Okay, so I said yes to this opportunity presented to me as if out of the blue, and did it for 2.5 years, interviewing experts about what 2012, December 21st, and 2012 was all about. And what I came to learn was it's a 20-year window. Now I ended up becoming an expert too on this, to the point that I'll talk about the 20-year window in just a sec. to the point that I became one of the experts on on a cruise. I got asked to be an energy medicine expert and the meditation teacher on a cruise where we were like with a telescope up on the top deck, looking up at the stars, leading into December 21st, 2012. So then we went to Chichen Itza on that day. And this time, my feet were, I was wearing bare feet the times before too. And the ground this time on December 21st, 2012 was like lightning bolts coming up through my feet. And we all had to wear white, and we had gotten special permission to be with the Mayan shaman in ceremony that day. And Veronique, there were TV crews from around the world there. It was such a big deal. I was seen as far away in Poland by a client in Poland. So as far away from Mexico and the United States as Poland. So Chichen Itza was amazing that day. It was so vibrant, and I've been there since too.
So I'm sorry, what's special on that day? Why that day? Is that
So December 21st, 2012. Now,
yeah.
the Mayans weren't the only ones to note that around 2012, there was a major event happening that was the end of so the Mayans said 26,000 year cycle. And on December 21st, 2012, it was the closing of the old cycle and the beginning of the new cycle. Nostradamus predicted this time. In the yogic culture, there's these things called yugas, and that's a way to refer to an era. And so the Kali Yuga has been ending, and we're going into an entirely new yuga. Astrologically, one of the things that just happened February 20th was Saturn and Neptune both went into 0 degrees Aries, which is one astrologer traced that back and learned that it hasn't happened for 6,000 years. Another astrologer traced that back and learned that it hasn't happened since the Neolithic Revolution, when we went from being hunters and gatherers into being agrarian, community-based. So the point is that we are entering a new era, and since 2012, there's been a ton of purging planet-wide, and there's been these waves of people awakening. 2 of my 4 books are written about this. That's what I mean. I ended up becoming an expert on this. Standing under the stars at night, asking for guidance to help lead and guide people through these times. And so the awakening of people looks like, or another name for humanity's greatest evolutionary leap, which is what 2012 to 2032 is considered, is humanity's spiritual awakening times. So there's been these waves of people awakening, and you'll notice more yoga studios, more meditation apps,
Yeah.
or more focus on crystals and crystal stores than had already been in existence as a result of this. And so I view COVID as a time where there were waves of people awakening. Like 2014 had another wave, 16, 17-ish had another wave. And it was almost like COVID was like a sweep through for those who hadn't yet awakened. Now there's a whole new level of awakening happening since there was another one in like 2023. But where we're at now is the second half of, again, what's considered humanity's greatest evolutionary leap. And so now it's not as much the purging time where there's been abuses of power that crumbles, where there's been secrets and lies, it rises to the surface and becomes revealed. The Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, all of this is a part of the greater vibrational backdrop we're living in because of the cosmos and what they're causing us to live in. And that's what the Mayans saw, and that's what Nostradamus saw, and that's what the yogic culture sees with the Kali Yuga ending and a new era beginning. So we're meant to come out of anywhere we're in victim consciousness to our own storylines, or where we're in victim consciousness because of gender, age, nationality, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, whatever. Anywhere we're in victim, like recognizing our power, because the backdrop has changed. We're not like in Newtonian physics anymore, where it's so physicalized. Now it's more of a vibrational backdrop and overall context we're living in. So also seeing how we are actually creating our reality and recognizing our responsibility in that, as we can co-create what's supposed to be a golden new era. And we're actually ahead of the curve, believe it or not. And what we're seeing geopolitically is still the crumbling of the old and like the power positions, but the masses, the masses, if we focus on the masses, we're actually ahead of the curve with how much light people are embodying.
I have a friend, so she's a very good psychic. She calls it the new earth.
Yeah, a
That
lot of people do.
Yeah. So is it what you're talking about from
Yep.
2012 to 2032?
Y-
We in the new
Golden
earth,
new
or that's gonna
era.
be the new earth after
Well, people differ
2032?
on this, Veronique. That's a great question, and it's really specific. I tend to live like 10 years ahead of the masses, and I'm already perceiving it. I do. It's been interesting. Um, um, I'm already perceiving the changes in the energy. Like just last week, I got a whole new opening. Intuitively, I understood something else at a whole new. There's new openings where the way that I was teaching people, like I have the signature program, Magic Manifestation and Money Flow. It's in its 10th year anniversary or birthday. And it's about to change. And so I've been really escorting people into seeing and perceiving and accessing more of their own magic through the clearings and activations and energy medicine I use, and then giving them tools now that their system has been more adjusted to be able to more effectively create in the direction of what they actually desire rather than miscreate and live a life or with situations they don't necessarily desire. There's a change in co-creation now. Like before, it used to be really be lofty and dream up your best life and go for that and reach it. But now, because just of as of February 20th, it's more like, okay, let's get recognizing we're bridges between heaven and earth. Let's get more on the earth and bring down more of that light. And when we're focusing on what we want to create, let's not have it be like if I am a person living on Social Security and I'm like 80, let's not have my dream be all of a sudden I have like a million, I become a millionaire. Let's have our dreams get closer to our reality because we're living in energies now that are even more effectively helping us co-create. So a thought translates into creation quicker now.
So talking about manifesting, um, can you tell us what's the difference between the manifestation hype and true energetic alignment? Because I just came into this like a year ago now. I can really feel the difference, but I think a lot of people they don't know.
I love that you just asked that. So just to be clear, you want to know the difference between manifestation in reality and between all the hype that's out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype out there since
Come on.
since The Secret came out. A lot of
Yes,
hype, a lot of people will help you manifest. But I think if you align with yourself, everything will just come into place and you will manifest so easily. I manifest so easily now because I know what I'm supposed to do.
I hear you. And that's fantastic. So like one of the areas of hype, I see it. Reason why you're seeing me kind of kick back and run through my thoughts for a moment here is to listen intuitively to the best way to respond to that, because I don't want things to be overcomplicated at all. It's one of the things I do. I take chunks of huge advanced information and break it down. I'm known for that, but I also don't want to oversimplify. And one of the aspects of the hype is the oversimplification, like the memes that come out and they like say surrender as if you're supposed to just surrender the whole like the whole time. And but really what that's been helping is people's ego minds, come out of where they're gripped on control. But surrender, there's times you get your intuitive guidance and you need to take action. So you're living in surrender all the time isn't like a main tool. It's specifically placed. So I find that there's, just like you said, and I've been saying this for years, Veronique. I'm so grateful to you for bringing this up. There's so, how when you learn something, you're really excited when it works for you and you want to share it?
Yes, yes.
There's a ton of people doing that online and they really shouldn't be.
Because sometimes it doesn't work for not everybody is the same. Sometimes what's good for you is not going to work for the next person also.
Oh,
We're all
Veronique,
different.
I don't totally agree with that. That's why you saw me going to thought and be silent for a few moments, because when you say I can manifest easily now, I love that you can do that. What I understand though is I have a PhD, literally, I have a PhD from a metaphysical university studying the laws of the universe and how this stuff works. And okay, great, Allison. But why I'm saying that is because there are steps to the science of subtle energy and how it interacts with the consciousness that I've seen that if I can take somebody's subtle energy system and consciousness and do what I know to do, then they become much more aligned in a way that can pull to them new opportunities so that and new possibilities so that they're not doing as much exertion or will force needed or discipline needed at certain points. Discipline is definitely needed. Please don't let me overstate that as if it's more hype I'm adding. But like the pushing, the forcing, the making it happen of the old paradigm, I've seen people apply that to manifesting. And what I'm talking about is when I have seen somebody's subtle energy system in the what I call the back of the house consciousness, the subconscious and unconscious blocks that you don't even know you have, but people have, but it acts like the airboat in the Everglades. Like, you know how there's a big fan in the back of an airboat and then there's a pilot sitting up front with the headphones on. So it's what I've come to understand about our consciousness is so the subconscious and unconscious beliefs we have and storylines we have, they're like the big fan. And then the self-talk we do here at the prefrontal lobe, what I'm pointing to, that self-talk we do here is the pilot. So what I see so many people doing is they think that they're operating only with these beliefs that they can hear. And there is, I think it's more like 95%. Stats have been it's 85% of our daily choices, meaning how we create our lives, is from the back of the house consciousness, subconscious and unconscious. So you don't hear it or it's under your conscious mind. So I from all the people I've worked with, I think it's more like 95% of what creates our daily lives is coming from there. But it's also the air that causes you to hear the self-talk you do and make the choices you do and avoid the choices you don't make. So, so there's a lot to clear out to help people be ready to take advantage, to align so they can thrive, to take advantage of these times we're in because there's so much more support now and it is easier to manifest, but that also means we've got to up our levels of personal responsibility too. And so I love that it's easy for you to manifest. I would love to see what it looked like if you were like you did what I if I did what I do on you, because like there's this whole other way of manifesting that I elevated into the term co-creation. And I don't mean us together like we are here, collaborating. I mean like the term yoga from Sanskrit to English means to yoke with, and it's meaning to yoke with the divine. So as we go beyond the traditional 7 chakra column and we go above the crown chakra to the 12 chakra system, we're going more and more closer to the divine. And so the more that we're hearing our higher self, the more that we purge in the way I've been talking about and purify and then get activated and have the subtle energy system online and emanating out, the more we're living up to our divine potential. The more assistance we're getting from the metaphysical multidimensional realms, which is meant to be happening now, so that we can create well beyond what's already been created as we move towards and are now co-creating our new era. It's not going to just stop at 2032. We've already rounded the bend with the purging, even though we still see crises happening because the power structures that be are still crumbling down and we don't yet have the structures put in place for the new golden era. We're currently creating it. So I am genuinely helping people become bridges between heaven and earth. I know that's a huge statement, but really I am.
And how do you remove the blocks from the people?
So I have 5 different energy medicine modalities under my belt that I got trained in, and I've combined them all together. And so I do clearings, plus my training in experience. Every block we have, so I have this massive intuition that isn't caused me to have a nickname Hawkeyes. Wasn't so easy for me like in my romantic life in my 20s because I could see right through what people in my 30s, right? But It's fantastic, and I tend to be shown also a person's core blocks in core limiting pattern, which is called samskara in Sanskrit. So I go in, and as I clear that with the energy medicine, typically nowadays through my voice in clearing, so you're receiving a transmission as you listen to me, and energy and light is getting to through the keys and codes, especially if you're watching me visually too. But my voice is used, it has been for a long time, to clear as I'm seeing in people's system what is needed to be cleared, whether it's a cause from their karma, it's a cause from their conditioning, it's a cause from imprints from their lineage, it's trauma, it's all this other stuff that I've been taught to clear, including the unconscious and subconscious beliefs. Because you may have a belief that I have to work really hard in order to earn that. And it could come from your conditioning. Like if you grow up in the United States, it could come from being a woman that we have to prove ourselves more. It could come from your seeing your parents work harder. So you get imprinted with a lot of efforting, and so there's all these different sources that go beyond the thoughts that you hear. So I'm clearing that stuff out. And as I do that, I'm also then activating the affirmative positive in somebody's consciousness. Then the chakra that's relevant to the topic, because every chakra covers a domain in life, opens more. And so more life force spins. And so they're having more vitality and they're having more light, and that light is encoded. And the more and more that we clear the old density out of the back of the house consciousness and the corresponding part of their body, the lighter and more aligned they become. And then I help them with the tool of applying the new openings in their consciousness to actually be able to choose something new, because that's a whole nother realm, right? So their intuition's stronger now. They're hearing more of their own guidance. And then I'm helping them apply what they hear to making a different choice in their life, like whether it's to break out in their own business, or it's to go for this other job, or it's to use that plumber instead of this plumber. Like it's, um, I apply everything I do towards the material plane, even though it's spiritual growth that I'm helping people with. I hope that that helps answer.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like a psychic job, right? Because I have one of my friends, a psychic, and she does the reading to me. And before she starts any reading, she's like cleaning up everything I don't need right now or anything in my aura. So it reminds me a little bit of that.
A bit, yeah. But it's
Yeah,
beyond that. It's well beyond that,
yeah.
because
It looks more. There's more work it's doing. It looks like, yeah,
it's like a restructuring of a
yeah.
person's consciousness and a recalibration of their subtle energy system for these times now. And it's like it's an update for somebody, or a rebirth for somebody for these times now, which are so different.
So in that, do you use Reiki in there? Because I saw that you're also a Reiki
That was my first
master.
energy medicine modality. And I'm
That was the
only six
first.
removed from the founder.
So yeah,
It's a
what is that about? Because I read that on your website, and I was like, is she related to him? Because I just did the Reiki practitioner training a few months ago. I love it. I'm going to do the master in 3 months. So are you
excellent.
related? The
No, but
founder?
I mean, part of my gig in living in Asia for 10 years was to go to the core. Instead of like choosing an international teaching job in Colombia or all the other places I was offered, I chose Taiwan because of the knowing that they have so much knowing of subtle energy, but they also still operate their medical system from it today. And so I have a very traditional lineage. And it's actually not because I'm related, but it's because of I'm kind of special. I mean, I haven't lived a
Yeah.
normal, yeah. So I got to have a very pure lineage. My Reiki master, I mean, I have a contract signed by who Yusui gave Reiki to, the number two person. I have literally a contract with his signature in it, that I give to my people I'm training in Reiki. But Reiki was only my first. It was my foundation, but it was only my first of all these other ones I built on top of it. And then from all my research in Asia and becoming a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher, I've brought it all together. So in an understanding of how energy flows, because I used to get all these treatments when I was over there, like reflexology, trina massage, and I talked to them and asked questions in my Chinese that I had, that I was able to speak, and I learned about how energy flowed. And so I pieced this all together. So whilst that was my foundation, this pure Reiki, and I've certified so many baby Reiki people. And I love Reiki because it's I don't find that it's enough.
Because
The mind has to be worked with.
yeah, the number two. You're not talking about Mrs. I think it's Awayo
I'm
Takata.
talking about who signed her contract, the teacher
Oh,
of
it's on
Hawaii
her
Takata.
contract.
No, I'm
Wow.
talking about who taught Hawaii Takata, because she's number 3. I'm talking about Chiyugo Hirashi.
Ayashi?
Yeah,
Oh,
Hirashi.
okay. Yeah. I was checking my book quickly. Wow. So wow. So you have
Yeah,
okay. Because
very,
you
very
lived there
beautiful.
for like 25 years, right?
I lived in Asia for a decade, for
A
10 years.
decade. Okay.
Yeah, but I picked up Reiki over 25 years ago in the late
Okay.
90s. That's why
Yeah.
you're thinking that. Yeah,
There's
there's so
more.
much more
Yeah.
possible. Veronique, I really want to, I mean, I love that you're going to Egypt. I love that you're doing sound healing and tombs and in the pyramids, that you're exploring your Reiki lineage. You're exploring your Reiki, rather. You're doing and having a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was right.
Because that's how I feel now. I feel very aligned and I'm thriving right now. So I'm
Yeah.
even thinking of going, because my mentor, she has a retreat in Peru, and she goes there and she do like a shamanic retreat over there. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds really interesting. So that's another, those other pyramids, because you were talking
Yes.
about the one in Mexico. So I'm thinking about also the one in Peru, because for her, she said that this is all those places are portals to receive the ancient codes, to remember who you are. So I really like that. I mean, Egypt was unbelievable. I never had a trip like that.
So I lead retreats twice a year, where you have to be working with me in my mastermind program, where in that when they come to meet me over in the UK, I take them to different stone circles and sacred sites as a part of their training. And those are all of my work is focused on, when I'm leading retreats, going to sacred sites.
Yeah.
And showing my students not just how to work with them, but I'm helping them cultivate specific skills as vibrational upgrade practitioners, which is the name of my business, vibrationalupgrade.com, vibrational upgrade system. It's what I created. And so at the certain sites, like, they're learning how to work with the aspects of the earth, but then also on behalf of the collective. So there are many portals around the planet, and there are the ley lines all across the planet. And Machu Picchu is one of them. And so when you visit these sites, you're also active, like part of why I have so many keys and codes that gets activated in people is from these sacred sites. So the more you
Yeah,
visit
that's what she said. Yeah.
yeah, the more you visit them, the more you're going to have them in your consciousness and in your field, depending on how you go back and live your daily life. Like if you're drinking and partying and,
No.
you might kill that.
When I came back from Egypt, it took me so much time to come back to Earth. It was really, really hard.
Yeah,
I
my
have 2 kids.
too.
Even with the kids, it was really, really hard for me to like then go back and take care of my kids.
Oh, I bet.
I was like in another dimension. It was really, really
Yes,
hard.
very much
Yeah.
so. All of
Yeah.
my clients who went with me to Egypt, we went to very specific places for the divine feminine. It was really interesting what we did.
Nice. Yeah.
They took like so much time it was like 6 weeks or so
6 weeks? I
for
went for 10 days. Oh, to come back, you mean?
No, for
Okay.
I call it the integration post-retreat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that took them the most out of body, myself as well. I didn't take that long to come back in my body, but I honestly, I mean, Egypt is great, but I'm not going to lead retreats there again.
Oh, really? Why not?
Because
You done?
travel. I mean, I loved it, and it was my second time there. But it's too much of a traveling there is not as lovely, even though it's such a machine, as other places that have as much bounty to be yielded from. I mean, I know this could sound crazy to so many people because it's Egypt, right? With all of the incredible tombs and ancient
History. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm going to stone circles that are older than the pyramids.
Are you in the UK right now?
Not right now, no, but I go
Okay.
there. I'm living over there for 12 weeks a year because I'm leading retreats twice a year, and I'm there for
Okay.
6 weeks each time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going, in at the end of April. I lead retreats in May and
Hmm.
in October.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, the work with sacred sites, isn't it?
Well, we had like a mini mirror, not really like a big miracle. One of the person was with us. She was losing earring for a while now, and she was going to get an operation on the way back. And when we were visiting a temple, she got the earring back. It just came back
Beautiful.
to her. And it was so loud, she
Beautiful.
started crying because it was too loud. She was like, "Oh my
Yeah, I
God, I
bet.
never."
I bet.
So thank God we had with us a healer, and she put the vibration back for her in
Yep,
at
recalibrate.
the same level. We calibrate, yeah, the level, and she was okay, but she started crying. It was really painful. And then I checked with her last month. She said, "Yeah, still there. The doctor doesn't understand what's going on, and we cancel the operation." Miracle. That's one of the things that happened.
With people working with me, I have it happen all the time. I'm
It's
used to
so
it.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Especially when you don't expect it, right? You didn't go for that. You don't expect that what happened. She came there, you know. She didn't
I do
know.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally cool because you think you're working on one thing or you're going there for one, and then you get these other. I teach the vibration upgrade practitioners when I'm training them. The light has a divine intelligence of its own. I've noticed throughout the years, especially back when I was doing one-on-ones in person and remote. I don't do as many one-on-ones nowadays. Is like if a person comes to me with a chronic back problem, I've noticed that the light or the energy will go to their knees first when I'm at their crown, because the divine intelligence knows the knees got weakened from the lower back not being as strong or the core not being as strong. So the knees took a lot of that stress. So what needs even though the person's coming to me for the lower back issues, they're receiving energy at first on their knees. I'm not directing it there. I'm at their crown, but they're noticing more action at their knees and at their back. So it's like this, that's an aspect of surrender, right? Learning how to channel the light and let the light do what it knows to do without us thinking we have to get all involved and make it do. Yeah. So
Do you see colors when you do your healing? I've been warned, or sometimes people when they do Reiki, the healer, they can see colors on people. And last time I was doing a session on someone, and I saw the bit of purple, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
where'd
yeah,
you
it
see
does
the purple?
happen."
Where were you on their system that you saw the purple?
I think it was on the knees. So I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
what it means. I don't know what it means, right? But I saw that bit of purple when I was on her knees.
So I would interpret that. Um, my intuition went right away in my training,
Hmm.
I would interpret that as they need more spirituality in their life, grounded into their life,
They need more spirituality. Yeah, yeah, we all do. We need it.
ground their daily life
Grounding. Yeah.
into their
Mm,
daily life. Like it's not just something to access and reach and read about, but spiritualizing that person's daily life is wanting to happen is how I would interpret that.
okay. When I see her again, maybe if I remember which color,
I
I
do
don't
see
say, "Oh,
colors. Yeah. Yeah. I have all the clear sentiences happening. I'll sense energy and then I'll wait and I'll be shown some words. So,
mm,
and then I'll wait and I'll be shown an image. So like it all is accessible for me. It happens, all of it, all the
yeah,
different, yeah, it's, my intuition. I'm very blessed. I mean, I share the blessings with others, I mean, I've learned to cultivate these skills I was born with and gain more skills. But I mean, I'm very blessed. And part of my mission has been to bless others that can then go.
that's your mission, right? I think that's why, people have those kind of skills to share with everyone to help, you know, people around us who need it. I mean, I love doing Reiki. I love doing Reiki on myself. And I had some people when I did Reiki on them, they started crying. Some,
Excellent.
fell asleep. Some told me they just left their body and they were floating around. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I hope, hopefully you did what it was supposed to do and you got the healing that you needed.
It sounds like you're doing something good over there.
I hope
Yeah.
so. I hope so because
Yeah.
I really want to share that gift. Yeah. If I can, even give it to myself or my family or my friends. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, Veronique, I would bring down as much of that Reiki light as possible on yourself during these times. Keep doing the self
Yes.
treatment.
I did I? No, I didn't do today. I did yesterday, but I didn't do it today. I didn't have time to do it today. I'm going to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to do it every day. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Thank you
been
for
lovely.
coming. I'll
Yeah,
put
it's
all
been lovely.
all your information, on the show notes if people want to contact you. And well, I'm continuing, just continue to do the good work you're doing. We'll continue to do what we have to do. Help people.